I'm gonna start recording us. Yay, it's working.
Yay!
Yay. Okay, so hi everyone here on Facebook, our Facebook community. I'm here with Emakhet, and she does a Tarot Tuesday every Tuesday at 11:11, and she's out of Portland, and I had the pleasure of hiring her for Wanderlust this past year while I was on tour. She covered 2 cities while I was in other cities. So Emakhet's going to do my 2019 overall reading. She's going to pull 13 cards, one for each month, and then one last card for the whole overview of the year. And so I invite you to take part in it, and I hope that the messages will help you and resonate with you for the energy of this 2019 year.
Yay! Well, hey, Crystal, thank you so much for inviting me to come and read for you live with our community here and to share your 13-card 2019 wheel reading with all your friends. I think that's really generous and really sweet to be able to share this process. And yeah, I would love to just begin by just hearing a little bit from you, any reflections from the last year and from 2018, how that was for you and how that's led up to now in this moment before we go into some future gazing.
So as you know, last year I was traveling for most of the year. I did 25 cities, and I did 2 cities in Canada and all around the United States, America.
America.
And I basically deep dived into tarot. I've always been very open, and I've always been very psychic, and I've been hired from YouTube and Snapchat for all their holiday parties, but I was always hired as a palm reader, but I always did bring a tarot deck with me. And then my friend Donald, one of Becky's first clients, actually Becky's first client ever, messaged me on Facebook after I saw a video of Gabby Bernstein speaking on YouTube at Wanderlust. I was like, I want to do that. I want to be a presenter like that, you know? And then a month later, Donald messaged me on Facebook and was like, they need a tarot card presenter for Wanderlust 108 tour. Are you still doing tarot? And I was like, well, I can do this, you know, yes, you know, and because I've been dabbling in tarot since I was 19, but I really didn't, I was reading for myself all those years. And it's funny because recently I was watching this woman's webinar, and she's like, the most powerful way to learn something is to read for other people. I was watching this Akashic record class, and it's like the most learning that you're going to achieve is to read for other people and to look into other people's spiritual realm. So I really dived deep into that. And then, of course, I got really burnt out and got adrenal fatigue. So for the last 2 months, I've been healing the adrenal fatigue, but I can feel the Capricorn energy really strong right now, pushing me to, create this year. Last year was all about expansion and really looking at myself and looking at my dharma and seeing okay, I remember one time you were live and I was like, I'm afraid to go on Facebook Live. And you're like, why? I really looked at that, and I had remembrances of my past lives of being hung and stabbed in the back. And that's where my my fears were coming from, was like
Yeah.
from my past lives of being a seer and being a truth teller, and like being killed because of that, you know. And so that's why it was so scary for me to like come on Facebook Live and come, you know, in the front of the whole world and be like, okay, I am a mystic, seer, psychic, oracle in the world, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely takes some cojones to show up and share our magic with the world. And we are up against, in a lot of ways, these belief systems that we inherit from history and ancestrally around it being safe to be in our power, being safe to shine, and knowing that that won't hurt anyone or no one's going to hurt us. And so kudos to you for working with that, feeling that fear and sharing anyways, because when you share your gifts with the world, we're all benefiting, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I get that Wanderlust, it was intense from the two cities that I did. It's a lot of energy to give, to sit and have a line of people coming and reading. It's amazing training though, especially if that's something you're deepening your study of, to be able to sit and read like that. So kudos to you. And it does sound like a really expansive year. And like now, coming out of some adrenal support time and some time off, I wonder, are there any intentions you're looking towards in the coming year, or anything also particularly you might want to look into in the cards around this coming year and what's next?
So yeah, so you know, I really want to build my capacity in 2019 to be able to show up consistently. Last year I was like struggling to build out warrior goddess movement. Like, you know, once I got into this whole like tarot thing, then the idea came like, because I got booked for Wanderlust in February, and then in April I joined a mastermind for personal trainers called, at the time it was called Online Trainers Mastermind, but today it's called the 1% with Lynn Trin. And basically he shows you how to, you know, optimize your Facebook ads, build out your ClickFunnels, your Kajarbi, whatever it's called, you know, it's like where your courses sit. And he also teaches you mindset and the work by Byron Katie. Like he incorporates the work with Byron Katie. And so it's a really powerful program, and it's like never ending, you know, it's like never ending support. It doesn't ever end. So, you know, because a lot of like different programs, they're like, oh, we'll make you like, you know, make $100,000 a year. But he's like, no, like, you know, I believe that, you know, you have to have support throughout your whole journey, online marketing journey. So
Yeah. So it sounds like you're really developing a lot of your business systems now, and how to kind of apply all of this big energy into something that's going to be sustainable for your business, which we were talking about a little bit before we went live, but like finding the right systems that are going to work for you, that, you know, bring you joy and feel good for you moving forward into the next year to really stabilize your work. So yeah, we can look into that. Can you hear me okay? I know there's some background sound.
I can hear you great.
Okay, great. Good. It's Sunday morning and my housemates are eating breakfast like right above me right now. So let me know if you can't hear me okay. Awesome. Okay, so I'd love to get right into the cards, since we have, you know, 13 cards to look into. I have Kim Kranz's Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck, which I have been recommending a lot because it's one of my favorite decks right now. So we're going to be working with animal guides in the coming year. So I'm going to pull 12 cards, one for each month. And then we're going to pull a 13th card. It's just an overall advice and guide for the entire year. And basically, as I cast this wheel, you know, when working with Oracle work, I get a lot of questions, I'm sure you do too, about what's going to happen in the future. And I like to say, you know, the future is never set in stone. And part of what we're doing when we have premonitions or we're looking at possible futures is giving you an opportunity to take creative action now to either reach that possible future you want or to prevent the possible future that you don't want. So, sometimes when people say, is this going to happen? It's like, well, that's really up to you and the choices you make now to either get there or to prevent yourself from getting there. So as we're looking into these months, these animals are coming in to give you a specific medicine to contemplate, something to also perhaps as guides or helper allies, so that if in 1 month you're needing help with something particularly, you can call on that animal and their personality aspect to help you. Does that feel clear and make sense?
So Emakhet, yes, that is great.
Awesome. Sweet. Do you have any other questions before we get started about what we're doing?
Nope, I think I'm pretty clear on, what we're going to focus on.
Beautiful. Okay, so I'm just going to ground and center in. And just feeling so much gratitude in my heart to be able to share this with you, Crystal, and with whoever has the divine appointment to witness this reading now or in the future. And just asking that this wheel of animal guides, just really giving thanks and expressing gratitude for our animal family and for all of those that share this Mother Earth with us. And asking that these guides please open the gates and paths and doors to any helpful messages for you in the coming year of 2019, especially in regards to your business and your the systems and the containers that you're weaving in order to bring your special gifts forward into the world. And asking that these guides also close the gates and paths and doors to any energies that would bring harm into this space, harm into your coming year that's unnecessary, so that we're in this clear container for this to flow. So it is. And also just may this reading be in service to you. May it also be in service to me and to all those who may come to it. And if it can be in service to all beings, then may it be so. And so it is.
Yes, as an oracle myself, I always, say that whoever is watching this, reading, that I hope that, it hits home for them too, and it resonates with them, and the message, they can take what is, powerful within the message with them. Apply it to their life,
Yeah, definitely. Sweet. Okay, so let's just get started with this month. And since we're here live together, what I'm going to do is just run my hands over the cards. And here, let me sit back a little bit because I think you can see them if I'm sitting here. And then whenever you're ready, just tell me to stop. And this will be the month of January.
Okay. Okay, Emakhet, I'm going to ask you to pull the card where it feels warm.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so January, the animal that comes in for you is the wolf.
Of course.
Yeah, do you have a special connection with wolf medicine?
I just can see that. I can see, my energy being very in tune with the wolf right now. So.
Yeah, what's coming to me is I see the wolf, like the winter wolf, like the wolf that's in the snowy mountains. And it's also showing itself to me as being kind of on its own and being a lone wolf. That the wolf strays from the pack sometimes and from community things in order to strengthen other aspects of themselves. So when they come back to the community, they're stronger. And so this is the medicine of the lone wolf who's sort of surviving through the winter or making it through the winter in order to strengthen themselves so that they can be even more, have even more contribution to the pack when they return. So yeah, let's see, because we're halfway through January. So I'm just going to see, like, as this sort of solitary time, the strengthening time is happening, what would come next. So let me know when to stop for February.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So the February comes the dragon. And the dragon is definitely showing me itself as a guardian of treasure, basically. Also, the dragon kind of guards the cave in some of the deeper places of our unconscious. And the message that's coming in around this is about when we're going into doing this unconscious, this kind of subconscious work, working with the Akashic records, working with psychic abilities. We're working with these aspects of our mind, our consciousness that live kind of in the back of the brain and in these storage places. And as we're really going in there and drawing treasure forward, we'll notice that there's a guard at the gate oftentimes. Can be our own reptilian brain that's like fear and ego and money and consume, right? But it's also the part of us that knows to hold dear those jewels, those gems that exist in those behind the scenes places. And so there's a question: will you befriend your dragon, or will you try and defeat your dragon? Because either way, it's a protective barrier between you and certain occult knowledge in a way. And so, like Joseph Campbell talks about the dragon's symbolism deeply as being this aspect of ourselves, and definitely recommends befriending that part of yourself that maybe kind of as you get deeper down into some of this work, you might find like I once learned that every one of our inner children has a monster that's protecting it. And when our inner child is hurting or has been hurt, then we'll tend to have a big scary monster protecting the vulnerable child. So sometimes when you go to speak to someone and their inner child wound is triggered, their monster comes out to protect it. So recognizing that this force, this dragon force, is there to help you protect your vulnerability. And there's also this message of befriending it. But how does that land for you? Does that feel true for you?
Funny, because last year I did a course with Katerina Satori. It was a 14-week course with 7 ascended masters. It just ended right before Christmas on December 23rd. And we were invoking Kunyin, and Kunyin is all about bringing in the dragons. And I saw my dragon come to me in my spirit realm, and my dragon is a lavender and pink dragon. And when I Googled my dragon, it was holding a crystal ball, of course.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yes, I saw my dragon. My dragon came to me, you know?
That's beautiful. I love that connection. This is your special dragon too. Yes. Okay, so let's move into, oh.
My friend actually sent me this Boris Vallejo picture.
Oh,
and,
gorgeous.
And I was like, oh my God, Erin, you don't understand. I just met my dragon, you know?
Yeah, this sounds like the synchronicities are all aligning to that. Yeah, and it looks like February would be a month to really call on that energy for support and alliance. Yeah. Okay, so let's move into March. So just let me know when you're ready, and I'll pull one.
Okay. Okay, stop.
Okay. So in March comes the beautiful songbird, the nightingale. And it's such a beautiful thing to come in March, in the end of March being spring equinox, and it just reminds me of the sweetness of spring mornings and the birds and the flowers. And I'm just being taken into the scene with the nightingale of a very fresh new kind of sunrise energy. What I'm shown is also the nightingale's voice is small. They're a little bird. They're not super colorful. They're not super fancy, but their song is one of the most beautiful songs. And that's part of what Kim Krans talks about in the book for Nightingale as well in this deck is about utilizing your voice, sharing your song. It can be about music too, but in this case, what I'm shown is particularly for you, less is more, and smaller things can be better. I know that sometimes I have complicated myself with this oracle work and with the dream work that I do and other just kind of priestess work that I've been doing where I get too big for my britches or I overcomplicate myself. And what this is showing in March is sometimes the smaller, simpler messages are far more profound as far as reaching each other, like less is more. Also, just because the Nightingale is showing me this very fresh morning, I feel like there's new starts, new beginnings, kind of a reviving also of, it's a certain kind of vitality that lives in the sunrise. In nature, it's like that rebirth vitality where everything just kind of goes, and so I feel like the next few months, the rest of this month and the coming month is still kind of doing some of that inner work in the cave. The adrenal support, the like the subconscious work, the clearing of old belief systems and replacing those with belief systems that are going to function much better for you moving forward. And then it's like March comes and there's this, it's like it's a little message, but it makes a big impact is what I'm shown.
So keep it simple.
What?
Keep it simple.
Yeah, keeping it simple. Yeah. Okay, so let's move into April. So whenever you are ready.
Okay, what I was envisioning was you like really like doing this with the cards.
Okay.
Yeah. And then really like feeling edges and seeing which one or seeing if any fall out. Oh.
Okay. Oop.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's actually two.
Okay.
So right hand or left hand?
What Spirit's saying is maybe I need the support of both.
Okay. Sure. Interesting. So one animal is the shark and the other is the lamb. They're very different energies here. And when it comes to business as well, they are very different energies. The shark is like, I am on it. I mean business. I'm tough. I'm gonna be unrelenting in a way. I'm in my dignity. I'm very much the big fish. And what I'm showing with the shark is also it's showing me hierarchy. And it's showing me like a big fish eats a smaller fish, eats a smaller fish, eats a smaller fish, right? And the shark is kind of at the top of the food chain, or like the big head honcho of the ocean in a lot of ways. Where the lamb's energy is very much
gentle,
soft, gentle, peaceful. You know, in some religious doctrine, the lamb, it's like they're willing to lay themselves down for the greater good and peace of all, where the shark is like, I'm going to be the boss, I'm going to be the best. So there's a choice here that comes in April between these things as well, and looking at these dynamics in business. And to me, they feel extremely different and two completely different worlds. And you might come to find that in April, you see that. You can see, okay, well, I can go this direction or I can go that direction. The thing that I'm shown about the lamb, it's actually showing me a belief system that many of us carry, again, especially and historically around having to martyr ourselves in order to be spiritual. It's about saying, oh, I had to do all of this and I'm giving all of this away and as a way to gain attention, versus and then on the other extreme is the shark who's like, I'm the hottest shit and like, you know, I'm the best, and has sort of a tough leathery energy that's hard to reach. So it almost feels like neither one of these may be like the sweet spot for you business wise.
Well, what is coming in for me is it's saying that I need to have a very good balance of both. Like I'm feeling like the Libran energy with it, and like accessing my power and certainty with the shark energy, and then also like but delivering how I deliver, like, very gently and calmly, so being assertive and also staying gentle with who I am as a person in my delivery.
Yeah. Yeah. And noticing, like, does this feel like a shark? Like shark would be helpful in this time, or lamb would feel helpful for this time. And one is like a hardening, where the other feels more like a softening. And so it's looking at those like polarities and finding that middle way between them. That's what it looks
And
like. So
also,
good thing we pulled both, actually. That's really insightful.
what was coming in for me too, like in February, was like really building my protection bubble, and so, you know, like I felt like the shark and the lamb were my tools to like, the lamb I feel like is receiving, and then the shark is like initiating action, so
Mm-hmm.
like bringing in that like yin and yang, the female and the male energies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. As you were saying that, I was seeing like the dragon of February, like kind of wrapped around you, like a protective energy as well. It's beautiful. Okay, so let's move into May. So whenever you're ready, we'll go ahead and pull for May.
Okay. So what I was seeing for May, like as you were for shuffling, was just like the traditional stacking of the cards, and then seeing like which ones fall out. I was seeing
Okay.
May. I was feeling that energy of like surprise, or
Yeah.
or like money flying, basically.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that one is the only one right side up.
Okay.
So I feel like it's this one. So this is the eagle that comes in for May. And it's beautiful because May being a cross quarter day between spring, May 1st, Beltane is in between spring equinox and summer solstice. And so you have this time in May where the light is the longest days of the year between May and June. And the eagle is coming heralding this sun. And I just see greatness. What I see is like when I up here in the Pacific Northwest, we have bald eagles at the river, and whenever I see one flying down the river, it's like it makes me it immediately brings me into this sense of awe and this sense of grandeur and just the beauty of nature, but it's greatness. And so the eagle is heralding that greatness. It also is showing me how high it flies and how like reaching for the greatest possible thing, what is your higher self like? If you imagine your higher self in her full health and her full wealth and her full uh love and her full awareness, like what's she doing, how is she being? The eagle wants to take you to that perspective of yourself, to see yourself from creator's perspective, in order to really amplify your greatness. I'm also just shown guidance around May is just things picking up quickly, and needing help, the eagle helping to get the bigger picture and see all the different aspects in one whole view in a holistic way rather than getting too lost in the details. So the eagle takes you high up enough in your perspective to see like, what is my purpose? What is my greatest values? And then how is that in accordance with the map of my life, basically. How does that land for you?
What I was seeing when you were saying that was like the eagle flying over the horizon and looking at the bigger picture, and not really, and finding the things that actually they need to focus on, like zoning in on their prey, and so having like laser focus, um, as well as seeing the bigger picture, not dwelling on the small tactical shit, and making things complicated, like you were saying, but just focusing on that one thing that's gonna keep keep it simple and cohesive for the people that I'm trying to help.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. In fact, there's a beautiful meditation that Nikki Scully writes in her book, The Golden Cauldron. That's an eagle meditation where you basically fly over the terrain of your life and look, you can start with a question, you know, like this area of my life. And then you fly over the terrain of your life as an eagle and zoom in on some things. And then through breath work, you dive down to get closer and closer to the details of that particular aspect. And then you grab something in your talons and bring it back to the nest and look and see, you know, what you may have grabbed in your life. And I've done this meditation. I love hawk medicine too, which I do. I work a lot with hawk, more than eagle, but same kind of bird of prey, big picture, and then that, like you said, that laser sharp focus on certain aspects. And when I've done this meditation and brought back certain symbols from the train of my life in my talons and looked at that, it's often given me insight about a location I need to be or a particular focus that I need to be prioritizing in my business and things like that. So yeah, Eagle's definitely heralding some of that work with kind of oversight, overview. So let's move into June. I'm keeping a list here too. I keep a list of all my clients' wheels of the year in case they lose their copies. They can be like, "Hey, what did you say for August again?"
Yeah, I'm recording us, so
Sweet, good, yeah, awesome.
I hope it's going in the cloud. But if it doesn't, then I'll upload it to Vimeo. But it should be recording into the Zoom cloud. So
sweet, peace to the Zoom cloud.
yes.
Okay, so June is next. So whenever you're ready, just let me know.
Okay. So for June, I was seeing you like spreading the cards on the floor and then picking from the floor.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to have you use that like hot technique again, and I'm going to channel my energy through your crown.
Okay. Got it. So the animal that comes for June is the dolphin. Which is super playful, fun energy. I also am literally seeing that. I don't know if you have plans to be in a place where there are dolphins in June, but I'm literally seeing like maybe even dolphins being around in June. Because I'm just seeing water, I'm seeing the coast, I'm seeing dolphins.
You don't think it's here in LA? You think it's like maybe
It could be. It could be. I mean, I know there are dolphins in LA, but I'm definitely seeing you with the water. And what I'm seeing is like the dolphins are jumping and they're playing and it's playful and it's fun. And what I'm being shown is, you know, there's this quote by Suzuki Roshi, a Zen, amazing Zen mind. He says, what we're doing is so important. We can't take it too seriously. And I love that. It's so true. And sometimes like I notice just being in the world of, you know, kind of metaphysics or spirituality or whatever, that like we can get very serious about our work and be very like, you know, and the dolphins just like through divine play is often where you find also connection with other people. It's a way for us all to kind of loosen up and have fun. What I'm shown is like, this is random, but it's like I'm shown like really bright colored leggings and like fluorescent colored outfit. And I don't know, like I feel like you're doing something really fun and really playful, and it involves the coast and the ocean, and dolphins just coming in to say like yes to playfulness. Now there's also kind of there's a aspect of this that has to do with sexuality as well, and like the dolphins are very sex positive beings. And there's something about like putting on the outfit and being sexy and having fun with that.
Yeah, when you were saying about the costume, I was seeing the mermaid energy coming in.
Yeah. Do you ever play Mermaid?
Oh yeah, of course. I've played mermaid multiple times. I've made multiple mermaid tales. Like at LIB, I was a topless mermaid on the hospitality stage.
Yes, see, that's the energy. That's the energy. Yeah. It's beautiful because dolphins, yeah, dolphins and mermaids are friends from way back.
Oh yeah, they're buddies. Yeah.
Totally. Okay, so let's move to July. Any intuitive hits on how you would like to pull for July?
Okay, so I see you like putting the cards in a wheel on the floor now, like, and then, basically putting your hand on each card and then feeling like which one is kind of lifting up into your hand.
Okay. This is awesome because it's really sharing with our audience like all the ways in which you can pull a card.
And it's
And then
funny.
I also like I use my left hand usually to pull because it's my receptive hand and it's my less dominant hand. So I tend to pull cards that way too. Little tip.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was teaching Tarot 101 at Wonderlust, I was saying there's multiple ways you can, draw the card. And I just tell them, like, do what feels right for you. Like,
Yeah.
you can fan it, you can put it on the floor. And then I was like explaining about the different ways to shuffle. And I was explaining, like, my friend Kim, she's also an oracle. She does palms, tarot, and runes.
Mm-hmm.
And she was saying that she would never want me to shuffle her cards because I shuffle the cards like a playing deck of cards.
Uh-huh.
And so, like, with another oracle friend of mine, she's like, just do it gently, so you're not playing the cards. So
That's funny because I hardly ever shuffle it like a playing deck. And I think, gosh, I work with cards like every day of my life, and I hardly ever like I'm not super skilled at like the like a dealer, so that's an interesting concept. But I have found it's so different for everyone. It's such an intuitive thing. And I had one client who like I was like, you can do whatever you want, with the cards. Yeah. Like as long as you feel like it's respectful, it's not causing any harm. She's like, okay, well, I want to put this card like all the way over here in the room.
Right.
And she started placing the cards like in relationship to each other in the room in this really interesting way that I actually could interpret, But yeah, I mean, there's really, again, like the dolphin, playfulness often leads to new inventions and new insights into ways in which we can approach things, and sometimes it's just taking a deck and saying, how can I interact with this? And seeing what feels right.
Yeah, I have multiple decks, like a large collection now. And when I was working with James's deck, the Prism of Visions deck, it's a very hard deck,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I felt like it was important for me to shuffle like a playing deck of cards to soften the deck and, to get the deck like to be able to throw cards and that kind of thing. And by mid tour, the cards were flying, and it's funny, like some of the decks got mixed up with each other, so sometimes like I had like almost two decks in one deck and I'd be pulling cards. Some people would get the same card, and it was a very interesting experience.
Yeah, I love a good deck when it's all worn in your hands and soft. And I have one deck that was my first ever deck that was given to me by my mother when I first learned tarot. I was like 11 years old. And I still read with it to this day. And it's so like worn and soft. But I remember this one time I had my deck in my tent. I was camping and it rained on my deck and it got completely wet. And I had to take every card out and lay them all out to dry. But it was like they got a deep cleansing too. I wouldn't recommend leaving your cards out in the rain, but if it happens accidentally, it can be a really deep way to cleanse out some of the memory and the energy in the cards. And so that's something I've also been being more mindful to do, is to smudge my cards, to breathe life into them, to really honor them as these sacred tools passed down from our ancestors from all the way back to the first times, and so what a gift. But yeah, so I pulled a card for you for July. I know we could talk shop for a long time. So for July, the deer comes, which is really a sweet companion with the lamb in a lot of ways. Um, of course, the deer, being about being gracefulness, gentleness, quietness, taking soft steps. But particularly what I'm shown from the deer is, and it's a little bit morbid, but when we're working with animal medicine, we often are working with levels of the food chain. And the deer is a food for many predatory animals, wolves and big cats, and other bigger predator animals. And so sometimes when we're working with animal medicine, I've noticed sometimes I'll do chakra journey work where we're journeying into the realm of the chakras and calling forth animal guides in each of these chakras. And when I see an animal come through that is a food animal, it's often indicating to me that there's some energy I need to be offering up to something bigger in my power. And so for some of us who are vegetarian or vegans, this can be really a challenging thing to work with in animal medicine. And I found if your diet is one where you're not eating animal products, then you're probably more likely to be attuned with those animals that are only vegetarian, like deer or rabbit, or herbivore animals. When we start to work with wolf or lion or eagle or some of these predatory animals, it comes with they come with the animals that they eat that are beneath them in the food chain, or I don't even want to say beneath them because really they're in such an intertwined relationship. So the deer is showing me in July the importance of receiving food, replenishing food source, which it sounds a little bit morbid with deer. And while I like to just say, oh, it's just gentle and grace, which it is, it's also about recognizing kind of the relationship between that which eats and that which is eaten, and about and what I'm shown is that it might be necessary to feed to what I'm being shown is the wolf that starts in the beginning, and it's like the wolf gets hungry and it needs to eat and take some things in. That could also be, if you're looking at business, it can be, what do I need to maybe absorb or liquidate or kind of reinvest into something else? So it could be, you know what, I had this whole thing going, I'm going to go ahead and like eat that up and take in the good things from that and transform it into something else. So that coming in with the deer as well. How does that land for you?
Well, what I was seeing in the spirit realm was like a sense of surrendering, um,
Mm-hmm.
surrendering, a sense of playing in the field, but I was also seeing like hunting the deer and eating the deer. I'm from Montana, so I've eaten lots of deer in my life. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And
turkey.
the deep relationship that we have, as human beings, as hunters, and how much, there's a love with these animals ultimately in hunting in its most exalted form. That like in National Geographic, you'll see like a lion eating an antelope, and it looks like it's embracing that antelope, and like there's a deep love for that antelope when it eats it. It's not out of anger or malice that it's eating that thing and transforming that thing.
Oh yeah,
And
I
so,
believe, just like the Native Americans, I believe it's really important to use every part of the animal and bless it and thank it for, what it's providing for us.
mhm,
Like
mhm,
I don't eat a lot of meat. I mostly eat vegetarian, but when I do eat it, I am always so thankful for it. And I'm like, this is nourishing my body. It's what I need right now. It's what my body's craving right now.
mhm.
'Cause, I train a lot. So my body needs that,
Yeah.
to sustain my high level of physical activity that I do on a daily basis.
Mhm,
So,
mhm.
but yeah, also what I was receiving was like July would be a good time to cleanse, like
Yeah.
it's like the middle of the year. It's like really assessing what's serving me and what isn't, and like, and then just, taking what I don't like doing and putting that on the shelf and really focusing my energy more towards like what, lights my fire.
Yeah, like what energy, what's your relationship with what you're consuming and taking in? and really deepening that relationship the way a hunter does. You know, the fixed attention and focused energy that it takes um, to acquire that food, and then really that honoring and thankfulness of that as it comes in.
And I
Yeah.
also see the deer like skipping through the forest, you know,
Yeah.
frolicking
Yeah.
in the forest and stuff. And I see, you know, myself maybe just like cutting things loose and frolicking in the forest and, you know, being playful because I will be like honing in and working so much.
Yeah. Yeah. It really feels like the summer, well, June and July, the dolphin and the deer, there's a lot of playful energy. Yeah.
Mhm.
So let's see what comes in for August. How would you like to pull that card, my dear?
Okay. Oh, what I was seeing was like you throwing the cards and then
Hmm.
seeing like which one turns up.
Okay. Ooh, okay. Interesting. Yeah. So it was actually the first one. The gazelle shows up, which is very, I just said the word gazelle, I'm pretty sure, or antelope.
Very, yeah,
But
it's very much like the deer also. It's like the same type.
yeah, it's interesting how,
I
like,
saw a
it's
lot
very
of those.
exotic.
I saw a
Hmm.
lot of those in Colorado just now, you know, in the
Oh, yeah?
field. I've
How
seen
did
those.
you feel when you saw them?
Oh my God, they were so beautiful, you know, like their colors with the snow, like their blonde and white coloring with the snow, and how they're just like jumping through the, you know,
Mm.
lower desert of Colorado, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting that, like, the deer, like, I just saw this connection of like the deer skipping along, and then it kind of becomes this gazelle, and it's like now it's like leaping further, and there's sort of this like transformation into something to me very exotic, and like there's a, yeah, there's like some kind of shape shifting and from the deer to the gazelle. In a way, they're continuing to frolic, but their form is evolving into this very cute, like, there's more beauty, and I'm seeing face paint, and I'm seeing like your face all painted, and you're all like in your avatar, almost like the deer comes in and it's like playing, and there's some things that need to get kind of necessary sacrifice made and cleanses and things like that going on, and then all of a sudden it's like boom, like this shape shift is what I'm being shown.
You're like really getting more into my goddess energy, like
Mm-hmm.
being a goddess. And
Mm-hmm. Kind of curious. I want to look and see what, I know you have the book too, but just for our audience, kind of see what Kim Kranz says about the gazelle. Um, she says the gazelle represents supreme grace, and with every move, this awe-inspiring beauty amidst sophistication and elegance. Gazelle personalities are often hyper-aware of their surroundings, bordered on hyper-vigilant, and this can inhibit them from enjoying the beauty they've spent so much effort cultivating. No more worrying about all those predators out there in the wild. When this card appears, it's time to get back to the present moment, to sit down, to find your breath, and acknowledge the bounty that surrounds you, and to let it nurture your gentle spirit. So when in balance, it's graceful, perceptive, and artistic. When it's out of balance, it can have food allergies, insomnia, or a racing mind. So to bring into balance, eat good food, have a cozy home, and do some yin yoga. So that's kind of an interesting just addition to what we were seeing, um, just around not worrying so much actually about predators too. And something that comes to mind is like we were talking about, you know, doing live videos and how that can be really scary at first, and like the racing mind of the gazelle, and the kind of like I'm afraid that like I'm gonna be hurt if I go ahead and share these gifts.
like the past traumas of the past lives of being hung or stabbed in the back, like were coming up for me a lot when I was like thinking about like pressing live, you know?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, and actually Maria Stark, she's an amazing artist and priestess and just amazing person. And we were talking about the female nervous system particularly, and how we process adrenaline, and what we are up against as far as sharing our priestess gifts, sharing our magic gifts with community, and what comes up for us historically when we're sharing it, and how it affects our nervous system. and how to clear some of those old programs and belief systems so that we can come from a calm, graceful, centered space to share our gifts and sort of come out of the broom closet, so to speak. By doing that, not only are we supporting our own healing process through that in our own ancestral lines and in our personal, personal lifetime, but also we become examples for others. When we come up and kind of take one for the team and risk looking stupid or risk being hurt in a way, we are examples of others that they can do the same. And so I find, like, I was doing a lot of theta healing work with a partner who was a practitioner for years, and we were looking at a lot of, going into some of these subconscious programmings that prevent us from living fully in our purpose. And what I've noticed in myself and also in so many others that I've witnessed through the healing is the burning time stuff comes up a lot for a lot of us. And we're all, I think, still recovering as on the earth from Inquisition times, and still recovering from that trauma. And so this is also showing like this gracefulness, like the gazelle is like, I'm just, yep, like I am, being vulnerable and sharing my beauty and my gifts with the world. And at the same time, like I'm willing to do that. I'm calm and centered. My nervous system is supported to do so. If that makes
Yeah.
sense. How does that land for you?
Yeah, as you were talking, I was thinking about my mother and like, and thinking about like how, in this lifetime she chose to repeat like some of her past lifetimes, and she was a sex worker, and she was a stripper, and then she converted into a hooker, and then, she was murdered, 3 or almost 4 years ago, and she was found in a burnt down barn.
Mm.
So, like when you were talking about, being burned at the stake and everything, I feel like my mom relived a lot of that, like past life trauma again. It was like her soul needed to relearn those lessons again, you know? Um, so, and, I felt like very great pain from, seeing her going through all that again,
Yeah.
and always trying to guide her out of it,
Mm.
and be like, no, come with me. Like, it's okay. You don't have to do this again.
Yeah. Yeah, something that I've noticed with doing ancestral work, especially with ancestral trauma, is there's sometimes when I can ask our ancestors for help with things, but also recognizing like they're still as souls dealing with their own karmic repercussions and their own personality stuff, even beyond their own life. And so sometimes we ask them for help, but sometimes we tell them, hey, I want to let you know, ancestors, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and do some work to clear this up for us. I want you to know that that's what I'm doing, rather than kind of, hey, can I do that? Is it okay if I do that? Because like oftentimes they're still working out their own stuff. There is an amazing, I don't know if you've heard Scarlet Crow, which is Maria Stark and Carmen Crow's collaboration that they did a few years back, but they have a song called The Hammer of the Witches. I really recommend listening to that. It's about the burning times. It's a deep song. It's about the Maleus Maleficorum, which was the guidebook for how to burn witches back in the 1500s. And but it goes through this past life memory, and one of the things in the song they talk about is like, we were gone long before the flames ever hit us. Like we know how to astral travel. We know how to anchor our consciousness beyond our physical form.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely. I've been doing lots of astro travel this year, and
yeah.
actually why I am recovering from the adrenal fatigue, because my little body can only handle so much astro traveling before it's
That's
like,
right.
okay, your pituitary gland is working overtime and your adrenals are, crashing.
Yeah.
Your little engines are crashing.
I think I can. Yeah. I know it's a whole like that's a whole kind of realm we can look into. It's definitely coming up though, as far as maybe some of the lessons that are coming in this year too, you know, is deepening some of that clearing for the ancestors as you deepen in your work. So, okay, so let's move into September. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more cards to go.
Okay.
So let's see what comes in for September.
Oh, what I was seeing you do was like cutting the cards.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
this one just came in. The camel is here for September. Um,
It's so
and
funny, like so many relative animals with each other. They're all
yeah,
kind of live together, you know?
yeah, it's like the deer shapeshifts into a gazelle and then it grows and becomes this camel. Um, and what the camel shows me is resilience, especially over long term, you know,
And
endurance.
also being able to carry the load. You know,
Mhm.
I could see myself like carrying the load of all the things that I've built and like having the capacity that I'm, trying to envision myself having.
Yes. Yeah, I was just shown like a yoga position that I know is good for prenatal, but it's like when you basically like I don't think you can see my whole body, but like you're basically kind of like this.
Yeah,
Not like
baby.
a chair pose, right?
Yeah,
But
chair
you do
pose. Mm-hmm.
but you do it to like and you hold it and you hold it and you hold it for endurance. What I'm shown is camel is like hold, 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 keep holding, breathe, breathe, like go the long run until you get to the other side. And that September requires a sense of like, there's something I'm being shown about the camel being really kind of a chill. He's very chill. She's very chill. She's like, yeah, I'm just going along, you know, and it's just a very calm, progressive kind of pace. So this is indicating to me to kind of buckle down and endure through September to get to the next kind of oasis where then you can take a rest. There's probably kind of a lot of work in September. It's what I feel.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So let's move right into October, yeah? And see
Yeah.
what comes after that. Shall I just pull one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Ooh, the little hummingbird.
Oh, nice. We're getting back into the bird energy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. We kind of went and
We went
like,
into the nightingale in March.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna
I was getting with the hummingbird was like really focusing on my vibration, you know, being
mm-hmm.
in tune with like having a very like steady vibration.
Mm. I love that. Yeah, I can like hear the sound of the hummingbird. Like zzz. um Kim Cran says the hummingbird's very positive, very enthusiastic, very spiritually resourceful. And she says inside the tiny hummingbird resides an endless well of energy and positivity. The hummingbird's secret is that it's learned where to gather nectar, and it returns to these sources daily for nourishment and rejuvenation. This sacred elixir springs from many sources, but usually involves nature, creativity, and exploring spirituality. Follow the way of the hummingbird, and you cannot go wrong, for every droplet of life becomes sweet, and every moment is worth savoring. Yeah, so it's interesting because the camel feels very steady and kind of boom, boom, and then the hummingbird's like phew, and it just goes fast with all this energy, and it's like almost like you build something up in September, and then October the magic gets
Really flying, it's really flying and it's like spreading it's like the little fairy of the animal.
yeah,
It's like it's known to be really good luck, the hummingbird.
yeah, definitely. And I see actually like a launch happening in October of some kind. This would be where maybe in September you're preparing for that launch, and then in October is when it uh, takes flight in a way. I'm just shown this would be in business. This would be like a course or a program or a webinar or something where October it goes boom and it just kind of takes off. And that September, and actually like beginning really in July, it's like from July into September is this slow kind of build up and resourcefulness to this launch in October is what I've shown. Do you have any plans for that yet in 2019?
Well, I've just been trying to, like I said, build my capacity and my ability to show up every day, my consistency. I would like to launch Warrior Goddess Movement as soon as possible, but I know I still have a lot of groundwork to do with that. So, just trying to be gentle and patient with myself. But I haven't been this month. I've been kind of like hard on my inner child, like, and um, I go back and forth saying like I wish I could wake up every day at 5 and be the high achiever that I've been for many years, and then my spirit and my body is like, no, Crystal, you need to sleep until 8 o'clock or 8:30, like,
Yeah. So it's kind of like, well, which voice are you going to listen to? Like, which one feels more true, for you? And it might be sometimes it's one and sometimes it's the other, and really honoring though when you're like, actually, I need this extra sleep today so that I can be consistently committed to what I'm doing over the long run, which again, the camel medicine comes in to say like that consistent commitment and kind of trudging through some feeling uncomfortable can lead to more freedom, magic, and some of the fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I've been sacrificing, doing my physical training, and I've been really honing in on my computer work, because I haven't been waking up at 5 where I would normally like be working out and doing that kind of self-love, self-care during that time. So I've been sleeping, which is a form of self-care. And then I get up and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do all this computer work, like figuring out the Zoom and like, you know, making my huge to-do list and hammering out modules in my program, and just try not to become overwhelmed with like, oh, I need to edit video, oh, I need to record video,
I feel you on that one. I've definitely found myself in that rabbit hole before, and I'm still navigating that balance of like being present with the technical world and also the natural world, and then like the spiritual world, and like how these all merge into a holistic way of life where I'm not and there are integrated tools that are available for us to make that a little bit more easeful, where we don't have to spend all day on the computer to accomplish connecting with people. And
right,
I'm definitely of a school of like show up and do one thing really consistently and do it well. And I've also put way too much on my plate, having lots of big ideas and kind of burnt out and gone, okay, working with what's most alive right now. As you were talking too, I was shuffling and the dragon flew out again. Okay. To kind of come in and help you, remind you of something. Now I want to just kind of check in the book really quick, because I know the dragon is one of the chakras. It's the third chakra.
And also, yeah, that makes sense, because whenever I do like the dragon's breath, which is sa, whenever we do that work, it's all in the core. It's all activating in the core, and so like really, bringing in the energy of the dragon and taking it out into the world and being like, okay, I'm fierce, I am here, and I have all this work to do, and also creating your healthy boundaries and like knowing like what you need to let go of, what you need to repel, what you need to let in. I feel like the dragon helps, and the dragon also like takes its big wings, big lobster wings, and like hugs you, and it's saying like you are a strong being, but you need to have like intimacy and connection as well.
Yeah, definitely. Beautiful. I feel like the dragon is such a big one. So let's move to November, yeah? We're almost around the wheel. Okay. I just want to acknowledge that before we pick a card, like I feel a little bit of like a wave of sadness around November or something just my heart feels really tender about in November. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull. I'm just gonna follow that feeling. Oh yeah. So the bear comes in for November. Um, and the bear, I feel the bear as a protector, and it's showing itself to me in front of its den, and it's sort of like it's guarding its den. Um, it's like it's getting ready to go hibernate, but there's some kind of there's something going on, some kind of conflict around, and it might be home or something about needing to ground yourself, like territory and your space that you go in to rest and rejuvenate, and needing to kind of stand at the entrance of that and say, like you're just talking about with boundaries and the dragon coming in to say, like, this, my core, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, my active principle. There's something about boundaries here, and as far as kind of your home and the space in which you rest. I don't feel like, oh, warning, like some tragedy is going to happen, but I feel like there might be challenges in November of this coming year. And Bear wants to come in to give you some
Support.
strength, yeah, and support. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just feel that like the how large the bear is and how grounded the bear is, and how loving and soft they are, but also like if you try and get into a bear's den, and it's probably gonna be like roar, and say, no, this is my space. It's really important to kind of claim your space during this time. It's a tricky thing because there's a difference between like having good boundaries and like holding your own territory, and being competitive or not being able to cooperate, and finding the difference between when we're triggered because we feel like there's not enough or there's scarcity, and when it is that we're needing to exert our power and say and our sovereignty and sort of claim our own domain, um, and the balance of those things, that the bear helps teach us. But how does that land for you? What comes up for you with bear?
What I was seeing was like it was a time for, being a hermit and going
Mm,
into my den and doing the self love, self care, and like really, dissecting everything that's has happened in the year ahead, and really, figuring out like where is my soul pulling me now, you know.
mm,
In my intensive readings that I do with people, that are like between an hour and 2.5 hours, if they have something that they need to decide on, I always do, use your body as your guide, soul
mhm,
attunement. And so I always tell them to, like, for instance, one of my clients were like, oh, I want to move to Florida. Should we stay here in LA or should we go to Florida? And so I had them sit on the floor. I had them sit cross legged, and I had them take a deep breath in, and I just had them using their body as a pendulum
mhm,
and spinning the pendulum. And then, I just said, okay, let your body do its own thing, release the control of your body and see which way it's going, And I did it with them, and all of us went towards the Florida. So, they decided to go to Florida. But yeah,
mhm.
I've done that with multiple clients in our sessions. So I feel like I'll be
Yeah.
doing some of that, like with like releasing things that are not working for me, and maybe there was like that part of sadness you were feeling, like me coming to a realization that I need to release, things that I have been holding on to, like hopes and dreams, maybe.
Mm, mhm. Yeah, I love how you touched on just like kinesiology and the body as its own source of wisdom, and also the body as an oracle, especially with yes or no questions or location questions, and like muscle testing. It's so fascinating how much our body will know somatically, and perhaps this is coming up as well as a really helpful tool during this period of time in November, just like touching in with the body and what the body knows to be true in your internal guidance system. Yeah, I've been getting into that in session also, like just somatically, and like we talk about our intention for the question, and then it's like, well, where do you feel that in your body? Like, how does your body feel about that? And then how would you like your body to feel? Or if you were being you, ideally in this situation, how would you be? And really beginning somatically and ending somatically to do those kinds of energetic adjustments. And it very well could be that in November this comes into play as well. And like you said, kind of going into hibernation, slowing down, like the bear is such an expert in their body of slowing down their metabolic processes so they can hibernate. It's really incredible how they like liquidate basically and like go into this beautiful dreaming state. So that comes in as well. Okay, so one more. We're all the way in December 2019 now. We're time traveling into the future. Any insights in this last card and how you would like it to come in?
I was just seeing you pulling it from the top.
Oh, awesome. Oh, okay. So elephant comes in for December.
It's funny because like when I'm writing my notes in this like coloring book and the first page was you.
Oh. I can see it. I need to like put flowers in my hair.
I wish it would switch over so the rest of Facebook Live could see. And then there's an elephant. But it's not switching over. It's just focusing on you right now. So maybe when it switches over to me, then I can show them. But yeah, so the elephant.
Awesome. Yeah. So the elephant. You know, a lot of people associate the elephant with Ganesha and the Hindu god. I actually just talked about this on my video last week. Ganesh and how Ganesha is the first deity often sung to or invoked during kirtan or during certain pujas, and because Ganesha is the remover of obstacles and removes obstacles from our path to make it more easeful to move through. But that said, elephants also like are an obstacle. They can place themselves in your path and it's very difficult to get around them. So this is there's definitely energy coming up around the obstacles in life and how we choose to get around them, over, beneath them, through them, over them. We do this in our Dream Council journey work. There's a part in the guided journey where we come up against an obstacle in the forest and we ask ourselves, like, what is that obstacle? Like, what is its nature? And then we go through a process of how do we get through that obstacle or around it, you know? And so these are some of the themes that are coming up in December. It's not so much that there's any more obstacles than there usually are necessarily. We always have challenges in life, but there's a question of how you're approaching them. And the elephant is coming in to teach you like how to kind of magically approach some of these through either very swiftly, like an elephant will knock a tree over with its trunk or its tusks, you know, very quickly remove them, or like how you can place yourself in visibility to where it's almost kind of impossible for others to get around to get around your visibility in a way too. It's big energy. The elephant is one of the biggest animals in the whole world, you know, and so it's about being big. And the other piece here, it's an internal obstacle, and it has to do with taking up as much space as you need to take up and being as big as you need to be in order to
no longer playing
accomplish.
small, like stepping into my power. And also like what I was receiving was like seeing the elephant in the fucking room, you know?
Yeah.
Like spirit kept saying, see the elephant in the room, you know? So
Mhm.
here's the elephant. Oh, it just switched back again. Gosh darn it, technology. Okay, there's the elephant. And then this is Emakhet in my coloring book.
I know, here I have a flower on the altar. I can like put this in my hair so that I get to be your coloring book avatar. Okay,
She has the braids like you, which is so funny.
That's so funny. I love that. Me and the elephant hanging out. Okay, so whoa. So we have one more card. Let me just I have this white and red rose that I will put in my hair for the occasion. Oops. Okay. Okay. So last card is the overall card for the whole year. So after going around this entire year of 2019 and seeing, of course, when we do this, we're seeing so many different things because a lot can happen in a year. This is just a final message from the animals. Anything in this coming year of 2019, the overarching animal guide for 2019 to please come through and make themselves known. And I feel really drawn to just just do right out. Okay, so beautiful. So what comes in is the buffalo.
Of course.
Yeah.
White capped buffalo woman.
The white buffalo calf woman. That's right. The white buffalo calf woman who came in to bring the sacred peace pipe to the Lakota people in vision. And there was a special lodge built for her to bring this peace pipe forward and teach the way of the peace pipe. And I've also, heard the white buffalo calf woman related to white women in the world, and are the Beckys. What it reminds me of is the Beckys.
Yeah. I've had white buffalo calf woman come up in another reading from my friend Kelly Rich, who works for Wonderlust in Truckee, and we were talking, and then it was like community and the Beckys. So it's like, it seems like in like the Beckys, every time I try to turn my back on her, she's like, "No, bitch, here,"
That's right. Yeah, and it feels like the buffalo itself, the white buffalo. I think there was a white buffalo calf born. This was in the late 90s, and now there's like a whole herd of white buffalo that are on the planet today. And they were part of a prophecy of like when the white buffalo calf is born. And I'm not an expert on the prophecy, but basically it's an indication of changing time, in the world. And so your relationship with white buffalo calf woman is kind of the deeper, what it's showing me is the deeper purpose of this work for you. And again, like the eagle shows, the bigger picture. It's like this work is, you are answering a call that is like a clarion call that's going out to so many of us all over the world to answer this call to purpose. And just like white buffalo calf woman came in a vision to the community in a time of need. It's like these ideas that we're having to grow our businesses in service to others, to bring back these old ways in a new form, is all part of this like greater, like we're being prophesized about in a sense. It's part of a greater vision for the earth. And so this is meant to ground and anchor your work so that throughout the year, as you're like, whoa, I have this challenge, or oh, I working through this right now, that like the buffalo is like steady, grounded. We have this, we're doing this. And what I find, I was listening to a transmission with Emakhet Ra, the author of the Sophia Code. Amazing, amazing, beautiful priestess and author and just human being. And she was recently just transmitting about how much we are on a team with hundreds and thousands, if not millions, of other people on the planet that are doing their sacred work and working through their own inner challenges and limiting beliefs in order to share that sacred work with the world. And how you can feel us like we're all standing shoulder to shoulder, wing to wing, really. Our wings are touching each other.
Yes.
Yeah, back to back, and we're gonna circle all the way around the planet. And so again, it's like it's a bigger picture thing, but rather than the eagle that's kind of flying over the bigger picture, the buffalo is rooted in the earth and connected to this greater circle, the team that's carrying forth these visions into reality. So that's kind of the bigger message that's coming through buffalo. How does that feel
That
for you?
feels really good. It feels like, I'm gonna be, working on Warrior Goddess Movement, but Becky is gonna come in a lot too, and she's gonna want me to focus on her a bit, especially in the end of the year. It's funny, this last holiday season, I didn't have any Becky gigs, which is very unusual for me. Normally, I work on New Year's Eve, and I'm working, from Halloween to Christmas, and it just was a complete like empty plate, and
Mm.
it was a very interesting place to be. For me, because I'm like, okay, like I have this clean plate, and like now I'm in this really like powerful place to create from, and to like redirect my energy. I'm not being pulled in a million directions. My octopus tentacles have been, relaxed, and
Mhm.
now I can just zone in and focus on this one thing. So, I feel like
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
I'm
I feel that with buffalo, like they're very grounded and very methodical and very embodied. And it reminds me of the Chinese ox too. Like in Chinese astrology, the ox has to do with the earth and groundedness, and like I have it, like I have that, I've got it. The system is in place. Um, and so yeah, it feels like really good medicine for what your visions and dreams and goals are for 2019. I'm excited to see what happens.
yay, I'm excited to, implement all my systems and like launch. And what was also coming through for me with the gazelle was like, you know, being able to respond to criticism, because,
Mm,
like we were saying, like September was going to be like full on working, and then, so I feel like, being able to respond or not to respond to that kind of behavior, and just keep on going and not
yeah.
like affecting me.
Yeah, I have a friend from Alabama who says, I allow it, but I don't allow it to affect my wholeness.
Yes.
And I love that, especially, with putting ourselves out there. Like one of my teachers, KRS-One, shout out to KRS-One, he talks about, when you go in the light and you share your voice with other people, there's going to be haters. They're going to be lurking around, trolls and haters, around every corner. But what we're doing is not for the haters, it's for those who are in our audience, those who are inspired by what we're doing, who find meaning in what we're doing and hopefully support. And so I really have been doing my best to kind of let those things roll off my back, and also to really take in the criticism as a sense of, as a form of intimacy in a way. Like, wow,
Oh,
someone cared enough to call me out on that so that I can really refine my craft and
well,
then
also
keep
it's
it
funny.
moving.
It's funny because I was just watching a transmission from Katerina Satori last night, because she just recently was criticized by someone that said, "Who are you to be talking about abundance living from Laguna Beach?" And she's like, "Who am I not? Like I'm so blessed to live right here by this beautiful ocean and in this like artist community. And but it really triggered her, and she was talking about how, like whenever someone does come at you with like that type of criticism, that they're that your vibration actually did penetrate them. It did
Mm-hmm.
affect them, and it actually asked them to level up their vibration. And the way that they're criticizing you is their pushback. It's like, but I'm not ready to ascend to your vibration yet.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever we have those like criticizing energies, towards us, it's like our light could be blinding that person. You know, the light that we're beaming out into the world could be blinding that person. And so they're like, no, it's too bright, you know, like how Emakhet Ra talks about in her first chapter in her book about how like Sophia came and it was like the light was so bright and she's like, you're so loud, it's so bright, like turn it down, you know?
Yeah, and really like I feel like the greatest critic that there ever is our own inner critic and our own inner judge. And there is a sense of sometimes when you're really shiny, like others will want you to dim your light because it feels uncomfortable. So it is important to discern, like when someone's criticizing you and when it's time to be open and say, oh, I hear you. I wasn't aware that I was doing that. Thank you, you know? And when it's like, yeah, I think that maybe I'm just, that something in my vibration is triggering something in you. And it's not necessarily that we're higher or better. It's just that we all have our own note and we're all singing our own song. And so sometimes our songs harmonize and the key, it's in key with each other. Sometimes it just doesn't. And so being willing to say, okay, like it's okay if you're not vibing with this, that's fine. Like it's not necessarily for you probably. So I hope you find what you're looking for. And I'm going to keep doing me and do it for my people who do harmonize with this note. It's a really tricky thing to do, though, you know, or our sense of a healthy self-image and self-love, you know, and not to be mistaken for like arrogance, but just
totally.
self-love.
Yeah, totally. Like being able to have self-love and then project that, like having an overflowing cup of love and then being able to project that out into the world, you know. And sometimes people come to you with an empty cup being like, can you fill my cup? And it's like, no, you need to go and fill your own cup, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then come back to me so that we can be a matching mirror, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like in this work, um we are I like to see it like I'm walking with my client. Like I don't have all the answers, or I'm not any more connected with spirit than anyone else. I'll walk with you and we can witness together what creator is showing us. And so as not to like get confused that like I'm an authority, you know, to meet one another in one another's humanity and to remind one another of our own inner wisdom rather than trying to tell someone else the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. It's like whenever I do a reading for someone, I always say, like, you know, my spirit guides are talking to your spirit guides, you know, and it's a cohesive relationship that we're, you know, building here. And it was funny, like me and Kelly, we were laying in bed together because we were at the Wonderlust Wellsprings event in Palm Springs with Russell Bronson and Glennon Doyle and a bunch of others that we saw speak. And we were laying in bed, like digesting everything that we had just experienced. And we were talking. Her father died, and you know my mother died, and we saw them like sitting next to each other on a bench, like you know. So she's like, I've never had that before. I've never had that kind of experience where you know, like my dad was, you know, like a joint visualization, you know. So
Wow, what a beautiful vision. I love that.
so yeah. Well, thank you, Emakhet, for your time, and it was really nice to get the reading from you, and super valuable, and helps me like, you know that I'm going in the right direction. And
Great. Yeah, you're so welcome. Thanks for reaching out and booking a session with me. And it's such a pleasure. And I'm continuing to offer these New Year's wheels all the way till February. So if anyone watching wants to do one of these wheels with me via webcam or by phone, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to continue to cast these wheels. And I had clients from last year casting wheels contact me again this year. So we got to go back around and check in on the cards we pulled last year. And they were like, it was so great. I check my journal every month and I study the card, and like they really got into it and enjoyed it and came back again. And so I hope in 2019, January, or
Yes, we
2020,
could do
how
this
we live in
again.
the
Yeah.
future, that we'll meet again and see how it all played out.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Okay. And yeah, if you want to book a session with Emakhet, you can go to readingsforthepeople.com and schedule that in with her. And if you would like a reading with me, you can just message me here on Facebook. And yeah, I hope you guys all have a great day. Bye, Emakhet. Love you. Bye.
Yay, bye. So much love. Go team. Go Oracle team.
Okay.
Until we meet again, be well.
You too. Bye.
Bye.